A very good evening to you. I'm Laura Trant. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said an airstrike which killed dozens of people in Gaza was a tragic mishap. The Hamas-run health ministry said at least 45 people, including children, were killed when a strike hit a camp for displaced people on the Tal al-Sultan area of Rafah. The United States said the killing of innocent Palestinians was heartbreaking and warned that Israel must take every precaution possible to protect civilians. The Israeli army said it had been targeting two senior Hamas leaders. Our Middle East correspondent Lucy Williamson sent this report from Jerusalem.
Morning didn't end the nightmare, but it brought the children, picking through the debris of the dead.
Well, Laura Trant is at Heathrow for us now. How's it looking there now, Laura?
Well, this is usually one of the busiest days of the year for flights at the UK's biggest and busiest airport. There have been some flights taking off and landing behind me here at Heathrow Airport, but nowhere near as many as usual. Usually we're talking one every 45 seconds. And it's going to take some time, as we just heard, for things to get back to normal, because it's a logistical challenge, massively so, because we've got pilots, we've got aircraft and crews, not all in the right place at the right time, so things can't just go back to normal straight away. Heathrow Airport has said that there is still a huge amount of disruption. They're asking passengers not to come here to Heathrow Airport unless they know their flight is operating. That's being echoed by British Airways. They're saying that any passengers who are supposed to be on short-haul flights this evening to please not come to the airport unless they know for sure that their flight is operating. There is lots more information for people on the BBC website, particularly stuff about consumer rights in terms of people who have had their flights cancelled or delayed. Plenty more information on this story for them there. But from Heathrow, back to you.
OK, Laura, thanks for that. Laura Trant reporting for us there.
Hello, I'm Laura Trant with your news tonight. Two of the most recognisable names in Conservative Party politics in recent years have announced they won't be standing again at the general election. Late this evening, the Levelling Up Secretary Michael Gove announced he'd be stepping down as MP. He was followed by Dame Andrea Leadsom, who said she'd also be leaving politics. Michael Gove says he supports Rishi Sunak to return as Prime Minister, but it's time for a new generation to lead. In what appears to be a mass exodus overall, 1 in 5 MPs won't be running for office again on July the 4th, with more than 70 from the Conservatives and over 20 from Labour. 9 from the SNP are also standing down. Chris Mason has the latest from Westminster. Police responded to reports that shots had been fired from a moving vehicle, which was then driven away. London Ambulance Service and the air ambulance were also called to the scene. There is a significant police presence here tonight. An investigation is underway and police are appealing for any information. Laura Trant, BBC News. Well, with me now is our political correspondent, Ben Wright, to discuss what all the main political parties have been up to. So, Ben, what do you make then of the promises of change, which we've heard lots about today?
Well, no bank holiday break for the politicians, as you were just saying. I mean, the campaign is in full swing and we're hearing slogans that have been around for quite a while.
Major Kevin McCall died on Thursday, the 29th of November in Kenya. The 32-year-old was commissioned from Sandhurst in 2014. He'd been deployed to Europe, the Middle East, the Falklands and Africa. Last summer, the British Museum admitted it had been the victim of theft, saying that up to 2,000 items from its collections were missing, stolen or damaged. Many were ancient Greek and Roman objects removed from its storerooms, and some of them put up for sale on eBay. Our culture editor, Katie Razzle, has had special access to the museum. 1.3 million disposable vapes are thrown away every week. That's why the local government association, representing councils in England and Wales, wants the government to ban single-use e-cigarettes. So what's their problem? Well, the LGA says disposable vapes can cause fires in bin lorries. The plastic can't be separated from the batteries, which makes them really hard to recycle. And it's when those lithium batteries get crushed, they can get really hot and become flammable.
And this decision by Michael Gove will only compound that.
And in terms of Michael Gove, what do you think are the key things he'll be remembered for? And as we know, he had his detractors too.
Well, he'll be remembered, of course, for his decision to back the Leave campaign.
Sir Keir Starmer has been campaigning in Scotland, where he said children were paying the cost of SNP failures there and Conservative failures at Westminster. Scotland is seen as a key battleground with 57 seats up for grabs. That's 2 less than at the last election because of boundary changes. Both Labour and the Conservatives are hoping to capitalise on the Scottish National Party's recent troubles. From Glasgow, here's James Cook, our Scotland editor. Hello, I'm Laura Trant. Welcome to South Today. In tonight's programme, chaos for commuters. Passengers told to avoid Waterloo until Thursday after a derailment. Risking their lives, the drivers, including this bus, caught on camera running red lights at a level crossing. With me now is our correspondent Laura Trant. Laura, what more can you tell us? Well, this update to the online safety bill means that the encouragement of self-harm online is to be criminalised, ultimately with a prison sentence or a fine. So companies who do not remove illegal content could face a fine, and those who commit the offences could face the criminal courts. Now, the government will set out more detail about the maximum prison sentences and fines in due course. But you mentioned the case of Molly Russell, the 14-year-old from Harrow in London who died aged 17. She took her own life after viewing content about self-harm and suicide on social media. Her family have tirelessly campaigned to improve online safety. They've responded to this update to the bill by saying, yes, it is significant, but there is a huge grey area. As always, the devil is in the detail, and they worry it doesn't go far enough.
Laura Trant is at the London Wetland Centre with some samples. Is there a knotweed creeping up behind you? Morning, Laura.
It's creeping up my leg as we speak, Bill. Yes, take a look here. This is the Japanese knotweed. It looks pretty innocent, doesn't it? But it's not. It's really destructive, as are these zebra mussels. They're really small, but when they all group together, they cause serious problems. They are just 2 of the examples of some of the things that people might not be able to grow, to own, to move around the country after the European Parliament votes on a bill that's being drawn up to list some of these unwelcome visitors. Our environment correspondent Claire Marshall has been to Cambridgeshire to find out more.
Fire crews remain at Eastbourne Pier this morning after much of it was destroyed by a huge blaze yesterday.
Well, it's believed to have started as a result of an electrical fault. Our reporter Laura Trant is there for us now, and it looks pretty devastated behind you, Laura.
Oh yes, good morning to you. It really is. It's a sad state this morning. You can see the contrast of the bright blue sky coming through the bare bones, the very skeleton of the structure. Yesterday, about 80 firefighters were working really hard to try and contain the blaze and try and save as much of Eastbourne Pier as they could. But as you can see, the front of the pier has been completely decimated. There was an amusement arcade there and cafes. That's been completely gutted. But the other end of the pier, where there's a wedding venue and there's a nightclub, is still intact, but of course nobody can get to it. What I've been told today by the fire service is overnight and this morning as well, what they're trying to do is dampen down hot spots that are still smouldering. This is a reminder of the vulnerability of our Victorian piers that dot along our coastline. Over the last 11 years, there have been fires in Brighton, in Southend and in Weston-super-Mare as well, but this was regarded as the very finest of all the piers.
Laura Trant has been at the show all day. Let's join her now. What's all the chatter about this year then? Oh, and I see you've got some friends.
Well, I have, and right now they're enjoying a bit of food. I'm joined by 2 Albion cattle. They are really rare breeds, only 150 of the breeding females in the world. Gorgeous, aren't they? Well, today, as you know, the first day of the New Forest show, so thousands of families have been enjoying the glorious weather. Livestock has been, here you go, on parade, and local produce has been enjoyed. But that's against a backdrop of uncertainty in the farming community. Issues like Brexit, Supermarket prices are weighing heavily on the shoulders of farmers I've been speaking to. Right, come on. Are you ready for me to be your passenger?
Are you ready? That's the question. But no, it's going to be great fun. You'll enjoy it.
Well, let's take a quick look, shall we, at some of Tuesday's newspaper front pages, and starting with The Guardian, which leads with an image of the aftermath of the Israeli strike on the camp for displaced people in Rafah in Gaza. It says there has been international outrage and that the attack has left hopes for ceasefire talks at risk. The Daily Telegraph leads with the general election campaign and a promise from Rishi Sunak that state pensions will never be taxed. The picture is not election related. It shows Alan Titchmarsh, who's interviewed inside the paper about reasons for mowing or not mowing lawns, among other gardening issues. The Daily Mirror focuses on Sir Keir Starmer outlining his promises to bring stability to the UK. It also critiques Rishi Sunak's plans for national service to return. And the photo claims to illustrate an exclusive article about the breakdown of the marriage of Eamon Holmes and Ruth Langsford. The Times has a picture of Rishi Sunak at his campaign event, kicking a ball around. Its headline says 120 leading figures in the City of London have written to the newspaper saying they back Labour and the need for a new outlook for the UK. The Express also has Rishi playing football and focuses on his promise to increase pensions. The Scotsman looks at the campaign in Scotland and the Conservative claim that if the SNP does badly at the general election, the push for another independence referendum could be derailed. And the Financial Times looks at the Conservative policy on pensions, which it says would amount to a £2.4 billion tax cut for pensioners. It also says that the European Central Bank could cut interest rates next week.